The 16th session of the Conference of the Parties to the UN Convention to Combat Desertification is taking place in Riyadh, the capital city of Saudi Arabia, from December 2nd to 13th, 2024. As designated chair of COP17 in Mongolia, Prime Minister Ayurden participated as a guest of honor in the opening ceremony of the UNCCD COP16 and made opening remarks. The COP16 themed Our Land, Our Future is addressing various issues including the implementation of the UN Convention to Combat Desertification, the goal of combating desertification and land degradation, restoring degraded land and soils by 2030, responding to drought and desertification, sustainable food production, women's land rights, youth participation, and job creation. Prime Minister Ayurden emphasized the critical need to resolve the challenges posed by climate change, desertification, and land degradation. In this crucial time, Premier Ayurden urged the Convention's parties to strengthen political leadership, unity, and mutual understanding, and to make bold decisions for a shared future. The Premier then presented the policies and actions that the government of Mongolia is implementing to mitigate desertification and land degradation. The head of the Mongolian government stated, "Climate change and desertification affect every country and the daily lives of its citizens." According to a UN study, the frequency of natural disasters occurring in Mongolia has doubled in the past 20 years. For example, last year, snowfall in Mongolia reached a record high in the past 5 decades, causing a severe drought that killed off millions of livestock, while the previous summer saw floods not seen in over 50 years. Each day, we are witnessing and experiencing such examples in every country. This conference is being organized under the theme, Our Land, Our Future. In order to protect the land, which is the future of humanity, we must stand together for each other as the situation demands. Challenges of climate change, desertification, and the pandemic have reminded us to be one for all for one. Therefore, we call for the upcoming conference to be held under the theme, One for all for one. On December 2nd, 2024, Prime Minister Ayurden visited the pavilions of Mongolia and other countries displayed at COP16. Premier Ayurden expressed gratitude to the Mongolian Pavilion for promoting the Mongolian government's goals and activities on combating desertification, reducing air pollution, improving water supply, and adapting to climate change on the international fora. For the first time, Mongolia is displaying its pavilions in both blue and green zones of the session of the Conference of the Parties to the UN Convention to Combat Desertification. High-level meetings are being held at the Blue Zone Pavilion, where Mongolia is sharing detailed information about the national-level measures implemented to combat desertification and land degradation. The aim is to present effective measures and experiences against desertification and to promote the country to the world. The Mongolian Pavilion, under the theme Go Sustainable, Nomadic Heritage, Resilient Rangeland at the Green Zone, introduces the country's cultural heritage, policies, and multifaceted initiatives addressing climate change, desertification, land degradation, and promoting green innovation to the international community. Prime Minister of Mongolia, Ayurden Lofsonnamsre, participated in the One Water Summit, which was held on December 3, 2024, in the margin of the 16th session of the Conference of the Parties to the UN Convention to Combat Desertification in Riyadh, the capital city of Saudi Arabia. The summit is part of the One World initiative, launched by President of the French Republic, Emmanuel Macron, in 2017. Heads of state and government, ministers responsible for water issues from about 10 countries, and more than 400 representatives of international and non-governmental organizations have attended this year's One Water Summit. In his speech, Prime Minister Ayurden expressed Mongolia's commitment to developing responsible mining and improving water supply in the desert and Gobi regions in cooperation with mining partners. The Premier also briefly presented the policies and activities implemented at the national level to reduce the impact of desertification on the agricultural sector, mentioning major projects and activities such as the Once in One Lake or 333 Lakes program and the Billion Trees National Movement. Noting the country's intention to host the 17th session of the Conference of the Parties to the UN Convention to Combat Desertification in 2026 under the theme One for All for One, the Prime Minister of Mongolia stated its readiness to work more actively with partners around the world on water security and proper management of water resources. On the sidelines of the 16th session of the Conference of the Parties to the UN Convention to Combat Desertification, Prime Minister of Mongolia Ayurtin Lofsendamsre met with Undersecretary General and Executive Secretary of the UNCCD Ibrahim Thia on December 2, 2024. At the meeting, Prime Minister Ayurtin extended greetings on the 30th anniversary of the UN Convention to Combat Desertification. The Prime Minister expressed gratitude to Undersecretary General and Executive Secretary Ibrahim Thia for successfully building on the efforts of former Executive Secretaries to protect nature, preserve land and soil, combat desertification, and reduce land degradation, raising global awareness and driving impactful actions. Premier Ayurtin briefly introduced Billion Trees, Food Revolution, and White Gold national movements of Mongolia. The Premier highlighted that Mongolia has the potential to expand cooperation, to build drought resilience by developing regional partnerships with countries in Central Asia, Northeast Asia, and the Asia-Pacific region. Executive Secretary Ibrahim Thia expressed gratitude to Prime Minister Ayurtin for Mongolia's high regard and the early preparations for the 17th session of the Conference of the Parties to the UN Convention to Combat Desertification. The two sides discussed ways to successfully host the 17th session of the Conference of the Parties in Mongolia in 2026 and the possibility of establishing an international alliance for sustainable pasture management during COP17.